This edition of the Ridley Report is brought to you by SACL CAI. They collect with respect. Hey, Ridley here for RidleyReport.com, signing in with an update regarding the sentencing of one of the 4 jailed Brown supporters, currently held in New Hampshire on charges of aiding the tax protester Ed Brown and his wife Elaine with weapons. Jason Gerhardt, the young former soldier, has been sentenced to roughly 11 years in jail. This according to Keith Champagne calling in on Porcupine 411 on July 31st. Now, Keith is having to add up a lot of numbers and months, some of which might go concurrently, some of which might not, and I think he's making an estimate on what that actual sentence is, so it could be a little off. He's not claiming to be perfectly accurate on that. He also says that Bob Wolfe has been sentenced to 30 months, a 30-month sentence on each of the counts, but it's not clear whether he'll be serving those concurrently. Both men have already served about a year in jail. I'll provide a link in the video description for this clip that will take you to the nhfree.com thread where this is being discussed in more detail, and information will be updated faster there than it is here. As always, I can't condone everything that Bob Wolfe and Jason Gerhardt did necessarily, but as always, it's a question of proportion. Do the sentences these men are getting match the nature of the crimes? Who did they harm, and were they a threat to society? If so, how big of a threat? Jason Gerhardt, if he's going to get 11 years in jail, my question would be, how many years in jail did Oliver North, a government worker, get when he shipped weapons to Iran? All Gerhardt is accused of doing is shipping weapons or helping create weapons for Ed Brown, who I think is a much nicer person than the people who run Iran. Whatever his failings. And is it appropriate for the federal government, an institution which has shipped weapons to Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden, how appropriate is it for them to sit in judgment of this young man? Having said that, I do have to point out, reluctantly, that Gerhardt is probably the only Brown supporter in New Hampshire who's ever actually harmed anyone in relation to the Brown situation. That was an accident. He was in a vehicle accident while leaving the Brown home in the Brown car, and he fled the scene. So that's something he shouldn't have done. Certainly was probably the worst thing that many of the Brown supporters ever did. But again, a question of proportion. Does the punishment fit the crime? Dispatches like this one would not be possible without the generous support of companies like SACL CAI. SACL CAI is a collections company that does collections a whole new way. They know that not only do you want your money back, you want to keep your customers. SACL CAI. They collect with respect.